What's up, everybody? This is NBA at the Bar, and we're your host. I'm TA.
It's G Money.
And we are back in effect. Good to
Yes,
see
sir.
you.
Yes,
Feeling
sir.
good. We are in the year of 2024. It's early on in the year, but feeling great, feeling excited for this
Yes.
unbelievable NBA season. So, G Money, how's your week been?
Oh man, it's been real good. You know, it ain't been good for the Lakers.
No, it hasn't. We're gonna talk a little bit about that.
Good. Yeah, I've been doing good. For sure.
That's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man, for sure.
And with that being said, we're being brought to you by ATB Media Network. I need for all of you to do me a quick favor. I need you to like, download, and subscribe the episode. Checking us out. Truly appreciate you out here doing that.
Always.
And also, I got my man back on this yak.
Damn, this 2 weeks in a row.
Yes, AKB6, that smooth, award-winning cognac.
I know. I feel like I'm cheating on my scotch right now.
It is cheating, but you love this a little bit more.
This is tasty, though.
Yes,
yeah, I can't front.
So we got some juicy stuff to talk about today. You know, we got our man Draymond back in effect. He just got reinstated today on Saturday. He should be about a week from now. He should be back on the court. But super excited to see Draymond back on the court. And really the question is how is Draymond going to be? Is he going to sit over here and do some modifications to his behavior? Or you think he's going to double down and say, yo, this is who I am. I'm going too old. I got some grays in my goatee. I can do whatever I want to do and continue to behave like he's been behaving.
I don't see him being a jack. I mean, the man is smart. He understands that this is millions of dollars on the line.
Yeah, he lost almost $2 million in the suspension.
I mean, come on now,
right?
So look, he's a professional, and at the end of the day, if anything, this was probably just reinvigorated him and brought the love. Because when anything that you love is taken away from you for a period of time, that should give you perspective. So my guesstimation is that he's gonna come in like hungry, and he's gonna. If I were to, future forecast, I think he might even average a triple double over the next 2 games.
Right, just to come back and just like you said, reinvigorated, fired up,
and let
excited.
Y'all know, like I'm that dude still.
And I think that he is an individual that appreciates his teammates, appreciates Steph, and so on and so forth. So he saw what his absence did to the team. Now, again, they've actually surged in this last week. Maybe that's due to the excitement of him about to come back, so they wanted to kind of get back in position. Or maybe, they found it and figured out a way of how to function without him. But either which way, he's going to be back, and I can only expect that to be an addition to the team, adding on and piling on to what they're already doing well, that's gotten themselves back into this play-in type of arena to where maybe they can make a little bit of a run, like you said, with him coming back reinvigorated, refocused, and dialed in. And we can sit over here and look for a greater Golden State, because the reality is our man Steph Curry has been playing still at a very, very, very high level. And you hate to see a player like himself that's playing at a high level but doesn't have the team to surround him. And then he's having to take these beatings and these heartaches and these losses. So, we'll see. They have a stat called the clutch. The clutch time stat.
Okay.
And I mean, these individuals, the Golden State Warriors, have had games that have almost all been close. So they're all coming to the wire. Draymond could be that tipping point for him.
Absolutely. You can even say that with the Denver game that they gave away.
Correct.
What I really am encouraged by with Golden State, even though, they're out of even the play-in status at this particular moment, but I'm encouraged by the style and the manner in which that they're playing. They have a rookie that has come in and is taking a lot of Klay's minutes, but even though Klay has come in and played some quality minutes, and even in that Denver game, got some real clutch buckets, and he looked like old Klay for a period of time. But the reality is this game in, game out, he's not going to be able to rise to that occasion. But you see a different level of focus with him. Then, Saric, because Draymond is not there, Saric has really had to step up.
And he has.
And has showed a lot more of his skill set. So you can see with guys that normally wouldn't get the minutes, they're getting minutes, and now they're getting into rhythm. So and Steph is doing Steph-like things, it's just, and they're going to be a problem at home no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But when Draymond, if I'm observing the team now, I can really see where what I do and my impact will jump in and be able to take us over the top. The reality is physically they are still a small team and they're more guard centric in terms of just their personnel. But with Draymond and the Swiss Army knife style that he has, you add that to Steph and everything else, and now that these guys are playing with a little bit of lather and they got a little rhythm, they could be dangerous. So I'm excited for them. I'm really curious to see what he's going to do.
Well, my only concern is that we've seen a rapid succession of these negative behavioral outbursts.
Mm-hmm.
And so my concern is that he doesn't learn his lesson. Sometimes, the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So, if this individual, because we've seen them happen, boom, boom, almost back to back to back. The question is, what is going to be the result? Does Draymond mean the difference between losing a close game and winning a close game?
Yeah.
And it's in my opinion that if they don't find him being that differentiator, that it would be smart on their behalf to sit over and put him on the trade block.
Yeah, well, for selfish reasons that I will get into later, I would hope that maybe he does show out a little bit. But, Draymond at the end of the day is a champion. He knows exactly what is required to win and win at the highest level. And so I don't think that was ever a problem with him. It's just the emotional outbursts that essentially the league and the refs weren't going to tolerate anymore. And he had to understand that those outbursts were having a negative effect on the outcome of games.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is a results-orientated business.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And whether or not I don't know if he lost sight of that, but I think
it looks like he did.
Well, the league said he did.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a little humble pie that he's had to eat. But I think that because he's a player that always has that fire in the belly.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's able to, just focus it in the right way, that he will play exemplary. Like I said, I expect him to come out and just wreck shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he's going to have to bite his tongue more than maybe he's used to, and maybe with some talking to some people, maybe he has some mechanisms that tell him like, okay, maybe let me not headlock this guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe let me not chirp a little longer at the ref. Or this player, right, so that I can get myself a tech or whatever. If he's able to do that and dial that back, he should be fine.
But at the end of the day, it will all be determined on him.
Yes.
He's the individual that controls his own emotions. He's the individual that controls his own actions. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. I mean, this is really like some drama type shit.
Oh yeah, man, this is straight soap opera style.
Correct, it's soap opera style. So let's see how it comes when he comes back.
Oh yeah.
Now speaking of coming back, a few weeks ago we talked about a young man, Bill, with the Suns, and I questioned his desire to even want to play, and finally he's come back.
Yeah, Bradley.
And over the past week, they've been able to play together consistently for the past week. He didn't take any games off. He actually played all the games.
Mm-hmm.
And the team actually performed better. Like, this is kind of what we were expecting from the Phoenix Suns. Now, they haven't jumped from the, 8th or 9th seed all the way up to the 5th or 6th seed. It takes longer than just a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do see is exciting. What I do see is there's a light at the end of the tunnel for this team. I think KD can be excited for it as well. He's been out a couple
because of the hamstring.
But Bill came back and was fired up and super excited. They lost to the Clippers, who've been playing gangbusters, like we talked about
Most
last
people
week.
are going to lose to the Clippers the way the Clippers are looking right now.
But the Suns are looking so much better than they were just a couple weeks ago. So what are your thoughts on Bill being back? And have you had an opportunity to catch any of those games to see?
Yes, I have looked at a few of them, and I think that this was a softer part of their schedule that was like a perfect storm and maybe that was strategic by them. When you look at their last 6 games, I think that they won they may have lost the last game or at least 2 games ago,
right?
But they were on a 4 or 5 game winning streak, and Beal was contributing in all of those, and you could see him coming into his all-star form in those games, and it took so much pressure off of Booker and all of the rest of the guys that it was like, okay, this is what we were expecting when we signed you in the offseason. We were expecting this kind of play. So, but they need those games in order to get that rhythm, so then they can play in rhythm. And then when you're playing against a really good team, it's like we can still execute at a high level. So it's good now. It's like, okay, he's starting to get his, it's almost like racehorses. It's like he's racing. He's starting to get his lather up. He's starting to get a little dander on him, a little sweat on him. So it's like, okay, because we need to rinse and repeat. You need to do this again and again and again.
Right.
And with all-star players, it's all about consistency. And so he's starting to look really consistent with his play, and they need him.
Well, the Phoenix might be playing chess and not checkers. That was a great point, that they maybe have picked this portion of the schedule to allow him to work himself in and not have to get beat up, where they can garner some wins.
Yeah,
because you get those wins, it begets confidence, and confidence begets momentum. So like you said, that's a great observation. Maybe they're playing chess, not checkers, and they're sitting over here and slipped him in right where he can sit over here and increase his confidence as quickly as possible.
Yes.
I'm excited about the team. I was excited when they first brought that big 3 together. I was disappointed not being able to see them play in the first quarter, first third of the season. But now that he's back, I'd like to see what this team, if they can stay
just healthy
and working together for, say, the next 45 days or so, or next 20 games, going into the All-Star weekend. I really could see this team taking the similar jump of what the Clippers did, and being positioned in the 5th or 6th seed by All-Star break. Now, only time will tell. But I think there's something there.
Yeah, I agree. And you need guys like Gordon and Matu, and
Bo's been sitting over here. Yeah. Hey, I like Bo. He's a poor man's Wemby or Chet. I like him though.
Yeah. But all those kinds of guys need to come with them. But if they are, have just consistent minutes, it doesn't matter if they play 5 or 10, but if it's just 5 or 10 every time, and at the same time within the game, then they know they can get comfortable in it and they can execute and play hard. Then yes, they can make moves.
Without a doubt. Now, another team that's making big moves, and we talked about them last week, and which one of those teams from the East? Would it be the Pacers? Would it be Miami? Would it be, who was the third team?
It wasn't the
Knicks. It wasn't.
I just always like to talk.
I know, but there was another team that was mixed in that, jumbled in that group. We posed a question: which one of these teams would be able to jump up?
Oh, Orlando.
In Orlando. Now you said none of them, but what I will say is,
into the top 3, none of them. I still say that.
Now the Pacers have jumped into the top 4. They're 4th seeded now. They're on a 5 or 6 game winning streak. They are. They're kicking ass and taking names. Halliburton's playing again at that very high level, when it became a fever pitch about the excitement that people were having for him. So I think the Pacers, man, that offense is there. They're looking at ways to strengthen up the team from a defensive perspective. But when they're going on all cylinders, they're hard to beat.
Yeah, because you have Halliburton is playing out of his mind. But when you have Buddy Hield and you have obviously Turner is probably their other most consistent player.
Turner's been playing well,
but it's Neesmith and I always mess this guy's name. It's like Martoon or Marthoon.
Martoon.
He's also like starting to really be the guy. And then TJ McConnell, when they for some reason they don't always play him, which I never understand why, because he's really good. But you know, and they're a little point guard heavy, but I should say they're guard heavy.
They're guard heavy,
but those guys are all like playing well, and they have beaten Milwaukee. I think they've played Milwaukee at least 2 or 3 times since last time we spoken.
Right. I think they've won. No, 3 of 4 they've won.
Yeah. And gotten that ass in a couple of them.
And matchups make fights. And so, you know, the one thing about the Pacers is they're almost like an old school West Coast team. We talked about that weeks ago.
Right.
In terms of they're very similar to the old school Showtime Lakers.
Yeah.
And an East Coast that's built into kind of the traditional East Coast team, which is a grinded out kind of tough and physical team, but they're sitting over here running and flying up and down the court, and these teams aren't really built for that. So, so what's interesting is they're built to sit over here, and if they don't play a real big team on the East, they're going to run them out of the gym.
Yes,
it's only when they get to the West where they have comparable teams with a team
the same level of athleticism,
even a little bit of greater talent that they can't really compete. And we saw that with the Lakers. You know, a Laker team that could that locked down on defense, but also match them toe for toe with the athleticism is going to beat them. But you know, this is a young team. Very similar to OKC. They remind me of a poor team's OKC, with not as much talent, but with some pieces that are very, very, very strong.
Yes, I don't even think that they're devoid of talent. They're just unproven. So guys, they don't have enough guys with reputations. So that's really it. And these guys are now developing their reputations. And the only way that they will ever really I say even have within their own selves, have enough confidence in their own abilities is they're going to have to do it in the high leverage moments in the playoffs. And then that always ends up graduating players mentally into knowing they can always call on their game when the game is required. And right now they're just so young that they're just out there playing and listening to the coaches. They certainly believe in themselves and they do have the talent, but it's about, can you execute in high leverage moments? And right now they're just in a learning stage. The only one that I say that has arrived is Halliburton. Halliburton is like, I'm literally a monster. We talked about him. We talked about SGA, and we talked about our boy in Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox. And they're all in that same like ilk of
young monsters.
And so
if you throw Ant-Man up in there, him too.
Yeah,
you know, the only problem for the Pacers that I see is just that top 3 is so strong. When you're talking about the Celtics, when you're talking about Minnesota, or
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee, and then you have Philly. I mean, the teams ahead of them. And the players that they're anchored by. I mean, Embiid is still playing out of his mind, leading the league in scoring, just under 35 points a game. When you have Milwaukee, Giannis, and Dame, that's just such a formidable combination. You know, the reality is, and then the Celtics with their combination, the reality is if without injury, I just don't think the Pacers can break that mold, kind of like what you talked about. But what I can say is they can be the best of the rest.
Yes. So if you pose the question about top 3, unless Milwaukee, and to me, Milwaukee would be the quote unquote candidate that could get usurped because of their defensive efficiencies. And so sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off defensively, even though we know that they're formidable offensively, but even that can come and go. So depending on the matchup, they could be got, but I still don't see them falling out of the top 3.
No,
I don't. But to your point about the Pacers, I think, may lock up the 4 seed and then just say, all of you rest of you guys are going to be playing for 5, 6, 7 because we have the 4th seed locked up.
And you have action doing that. Going into the playoffs, if they can lock up that 4th seed, and overcome Orlando's dealing with some injuries. That's why they kind of dipped a little bit. But I think it's going to be a fight for that 4th seed between the Pacers and Orlando, fighting for that 4th seed. And I think whoever's in that 4th seed has a puncher's chance to beat out the top 3, just like they did.
Round home court advantage.
Correct. Just like they did in the in-season tournament, where they had a puncher's chance, ended up getting to the championship. I think this team is good enough offensively. Now the real question is what can they do defensively? What changes can they make by the 15th of the month in this kind of trade window to sit over here and find a way? And I don't think it's the 15th of this month. It might be the 15th of next month.
I think it's February.
Right, the 15th of February. What can they do in, say, the next just over 30 days to sit over and find that missing piece to really bolster their defense?
Yes.
That can allow them to maintain that 4th spot and not lose it.
This is going to be a very interesting trade deadline because some teams will either dramatically improve and change the entire outlook of the entire season, or they will do nothing, or there will be, like, let's say, like a lateral move. We're just going to swap out this bad for that bad.
Right.
But it's interesting because of all of the parity, and there's so many teams that are so close to one another. And I say interesting because you're going to have a lot of GMs that are not going to want to pull the trigger on guys because they're not in one extreme. They're all like right there in the middle. So it's like, we may not do anything. So
that's the Meissner thought process. To not do anything and maintain status quo is the definition of insanity. You're going to continue to do the same exact thing and expect hope and wish for a different result. And the game doesn't work like that. You have to be dramatic. You have to be aggressive. You have to sit over here and go after it. To sit over here and change that middling thought process. And speaking of that, I mean, we saw the New York Knicks take one of the very first steps in the NBA.
They were the ones that pulled the trigger first. Yep.
And we've seen
Anunoby,
but we've seen the result of the Anunoby trade. I mean, they've run off 3 wins in a row since he's been traded. Looking very good. He's looking good. He's getting acclimated immediately. And so this is what we're talking about in terms of being first and being aggressive. Holding back and waiting because you're scared to make a bad choice. Hey, bad choices are made every single day. But at least there's some type of movement. When you sit over here and just wait, this is not a game that's based off of hope and wish. We can't hope and wish. The Lakers are in a state of hope and wish right now. We hope and wish that these individuals are going to get better, play more inspired, be stronger on defense, start hitting their jump shots. Forget all that. You actually have to go out there and take
this
action.
Is a results-driven league, period. Every professional sport league is about results at the end of the day. I'm going to hold back a little bit of my fury for when we actually get to the Lakers segment. But I agree. You're right. It is, at the end of the day, that they should, if you're a smart GM and if you want to keep your job, you need to be thinking about, let me strike while the iron is hot and let me do something that is bold. And I really am disappointed with the couple of years now that where guys have not pull the trigger because they're so worried about keeping their jobs that they don't realize the way that you keep your job is you do something bold to impact the season that you're in.
Or the way to sit over here and not even be in a perpetual state of every single year, am I going to be able to keep my job or not? Is to go big or go home. Do something splashy, do something big to propel your team and make everybody say, wow, and now give you cover for 5 years to sit over here and then to revisit the chalkboard and figure out how you can make just a more consistent, high performing, achieving team. Well, waiting and fear is always going to bite you in the ass.
And as a GM, you need to also understand that you could have an epic loss and you have to be willing to risk that.
Mm-hmm.
No risk it, no biscuit.
No risk it, no biscuit. But with that being said, what are your thoughts on that Anunoby trade? I mean, are you still just as high? Are you even higher now with Anunoby? Where do you think they can probably, fall in at? Do you think they can get into that 5-6 position by the end of the year and be consistent there?
I think that they're probably already there. I don't know if they're 5 or 6 because I haven't looked.
No, they're not 5 or 6 yet.
Okay. No. Well,
so but they're playing well.
Then the answer is yes. I
do you think they need to do one more move, or do you think this is the team that can actually get it done?
It's weird that with Robinson being gone for the season, their center, that it's kind of like an addition by subtraction because Hartenstein is a center that is not as, let's say, physical as Robinson, and is maybe not as high powered at the goal, but he is a more of a playmaker type of center. So then when you couple him with Randall, because Randall is a bull in a china shop type of dude, and he's just physical all the way around, but you have essentially almost like a point forward that is physical enough to just play the center position in Hartenstein. So then when you add in Anunoby, who can play defense and who can just shoot and actually make baskets, that allows Jalen Brunson, who is your workhorse, to shine. And the combination of all of that is working. And then, then DiVincenzo can start to look a little better because he's getting the ball in perfect pocket passes now, because whether it's my center, my power forward, my small forward, or my guard, my Brunson, are giving me the ball in a perfect cadence, and I can hit
in the flow of the offense.
So their offense just is going to flow better.
Well, that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. It's funny how a single player can unlock that. So, kudos to the Knicks.
Yeah, absolutely. Kudos.
That city and that fan base has been waiting. I mean, 20
starving.
years. Yeah. They're starving for it, and they're
before we was born was the last time they won the championship.
Before they were born in the championship, but we saw some good years with Patrick Ewing in them and Stark and what have you. It would be real exciting to see them not just rest on their laurels of this great trade and take a swing or two one more time before the end of the year to really try to propel this team, because how fleeting, because it's not a dynasty. They don't really have too many anchor players.
Yeah.
So the iron is starting to get hot. Let's sit over here and strike.
The only thing that I don't know and I haven't researched is how many, let's say, first round draft picks that they have. Because if they were going to pull another, let's say, rabbit out of the hat, it's probably going to have to go to their draft picks. And I would be willing to do that if I were them, to solidify just another ultra talented guy that is maybe not a super duper star, but just an ultra talented guy.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see what they do, because that could take them, if you're going to take a team adding a super quality player, that could just change the entire outcome of the season for them.
Last week or last couple of weeks, I think it was last week. No, maybe it was a week before. We talked about Ja coming back.
Yeah.
And the amazing job that he did. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Amazing job that he did.
And Ja was like, I'm taking receipts.
I kept receipts. And he was the player of the week coming off of a suspension, and the team was playing at a high. The arena was rocking and rolling, and for whatever reason, he came back on a more softer schedule point than overall, and so it all looked great. And let me tell you something: I was bamboozled, I was hoodwinked, I was run amok. I sat over here to quote my man Malcolm. I was sat over here and I was caught in the excitement of Ja. But they've come back to earth a little bit, and they've had a tough past week. They've racked up some losses.
The West is hard, bro.
No, the West is difficult. That's what's funny when you get into get into the meat of those schedules, and you get past a little patch where you're playing the Portlands and the, and the lower level teams, and you get into the tougher teams. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
And so I think they went through that, but I still feel good. I still feel that they're going to be able to get into the play-in.
That should be their goal.
That should be their goal, to get into the play-in after with such a slow start.
Yeah.
Funny story though, they played Houston this past week, and what's the man that transferred over from Memphis, from the Grizzlies over to Houston Rockets? What's his name? Brooks.
Oh yeah.
And so after the game,
he's been hurt too.
He's been hurt, but he played that game, and he ended up having just a monster second half.
Did he?
24 points in the second half, and they ended up pulling out a win. And he says, "Yeah, I'll never lose to Memphis again for the rest of my career."
But you know what? If there's one guy who he's almost like what we said with Draymond. If there's one guy who needs to like shut up and zip it,
that's Draymond's light-skinned cousin right there.
Yeah, I know. Because every time Brooks talks, it's like, oh, really?
But he believes it though. He believes it wholeheartedly.
Oh, he believes it hands and feet.
Yeah.
But that's that false narrative, bro. Every time you talk a little too much, all you do is fuel the other team to boo-bop you
every single time.
So it's like you just need to speak quiet and walk with a big stick. Don't start speaking loud, because every time you speak loud, it's like I'm smacking you with a white glove and challenging you to a duel. Okay, so be careful.
But it'll be interesting to see where this team goes and how they're going to really be able to compete. The reality is that they are missing Brooks.
Yeah, because he does bring
and it's not just Brooks. We got to act like we can't act like okay, this is the same exact team without Brooks. The reality is they lost their big man to an injury for the whole season. He went out with an injury before the season even started.
Okay.
So when you lost him and then you lost Brooks, that's a double whammy. That even with Ja coming back, this isn't the same team that was doing what they were doing last year.
I would just say the insertion of Marcus Smart,
that was a great pickup.
Not only was it a good pickup, but he was injured around for a certain period of time that added to their losses. So Ja comes back, and then he's come back. Well, I think within this last week. And that has contributed to their winning. So now they have somebody who can easily play point guard at a high leverage moment. And he can also allow Ja to even play the two. And then they still have their same semblance of talent around them. So they're starting to balance out a little bit,
no doubt,
and be more of a consistent threat offensively and defensively. The deficiency that you see with Memphis now is they don't have the same defensive intensity that they've had in years where they've won.
And both of those two players were the heart of their defensive of the team.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be what they are if they don't make any moves and any significant moves in the next 30 days. Then this is going to be a lost season for them. But at least Ja's back to create that energy.
Yeah.
Because the team looked dead prior to him being back.
It did. But, and the funny thing is, so now they look like they're, not dead and they're dangerous. But are you dangerous enough to basically go on 10 or 11 game winning
And
streaks?
the reason why is no, it's because they don't have the horses.
Yeah.
They have a stallion, but they don't have enough horses to do that.
And the only reason you say that is because the West is so formidable. So then it's like, I don't see you being able to go on a 10 or 11 game win streak. If you play Utah, that's going to be a problem.
but again, what it shows you is not getting on the Clippers, but that's the difference between the Clippers and this team. The Clippers, when you have some horses, when you have 3 or 4, when you have 4 future Hall of Famers, that's a stall full of stallions where you have one real stallion.
I'm
with
almost
Memphis.
afraid of the Clippers. Clippers about to have me eat some whole lot of crow. Like I'm about to eat crow pie for like a month.
You know, you're gonna have to dress like a crow. How you sat over here disrespecting the team for so long.
Because I'm very comfortable with down in the Clippers, but the Clippers look good.
They look very good.
God, they scaring me.
Hey, and I told you a couple of weeks ago, without a doubt.
Okay.
And I get everything that you're talking about with the Clippers. Like, yeah, you are going to have to eat some crow. Yes, this team is playing lights out.
I'm not ready to say that I'm going to do it yet.
Well, here's the twist is, you know, we've said for the last 2 or 3 weeks since we initially talked about, since things started clicking for them in Harden. Let's see. But still, I'm not quite ready to buy in yet in terms of that this is a true, they've unlocked something special. Here's where the reality is. If by All-Star Weekend, if they're playing like how they're playing now, yeah, I'll be all aboard. Choo choo! I'll be ready to go. But you know, a team that is near and dear to our heart. It's the other LA team. You know, you're representing with the sweater with the titles on the side. I mean, I love that sweatshirt. I love that sweatshirt. You know, the unfortunate thing is you didn't put it in the washing machine and you got it.
That's okay. That just
shows gray.
I'd
have put that in the dry cleaners because that's such a great sweatshirt.
No, I got about 4 or 5 of them, and
you got to get me one.
Well, you know, go.
Yeah, it'll be right here on the arm.
I'll tell you where.
But the Lakers, you know, here's where the reality is. The Lakers, the question I have for you is who's to blame? Because for me, is the Lakers are breaking my heart, you know, after being so excited and fired up from what they did in the in-season tournament, to watch what they've become after that is breaking my heart. But now I got to start pointing fingers. And the question is who's to blame? In your opinion, who's to blame?
Okay, so I have a lot of fingers to point when it comes to the Lakers, but right now, this is like DEFCON 5. I feel like I'm Commissioner Gordon, and I need to go ahead and pull up the bat phone and the red phone, and I need to call Batman right now because we are in danger. Okay,
in danger.
We are in danger. The thing that I'm going to focus on. Typically, we would say LeBron or Anthony Davis or even to blame, but
you can't blame LeBron.
No,
ever.
No.
The greatest player ever. No,
I actually really want to focus on the players that are playing deficient. So I'm going to start calling names now. I'm going to say,
and I can respect that and appreciate that because most of these people in the media are sitting over here trying to blame the coach, and you were trying to blame the coach a couple weeks ago because that's what Jared on Skip Bayless. But what? You know, you love your Skip. But you have come to the rationale that the coach can only do with what he's doing. You know, a chef, a cook can only do with the ingredients that they've been given. Okay. And so the reality is I think you have come to the understanding that the ingredients just ain't that good.
Look, 3 guys, maybe 4. D'Angelo Russell, Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt. And I say Jared Vanderbilt 3 times in my head. Jared Vanderbilt. Those guys in particular have been deficient.
Who's the 4?
Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura.
And I'm going to let you not put him on the hook. He got to go on the hook.
No, okay. So whether it's injury or otherwise, but it doesn't also, regardless of injury, what I'm seeing is there is a genuine lack of effort that maybe even when we were winning in the early part of the season, that they were bringing a consistent effort level. But so now they're almost hiding behind the fact that, oh, we're hurt or this or that. But when This is something that I've heard Shannon Sharp say that I think is very true. If your name is Shannon Sharp or Jerry Rice, and this is a football analogy, nobody cares about whatever hour you got. If you are wearing the 80 or the 85, it's like you need to perform, and you need to perform at a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have to realize that Los Angeles is used to the Michael Coopers, the Rick Foxes, the AC Greens,
mm-hmm.
the
peripheral players playing big
Kurt
time.
Rambuses. Yeah.
Like doing something special. Even when they were Kurt Rambis and they weren't special, them leveling up. And these players don't have it in them.
And executing at a high level, because Los Angeles is literally probably the best team to ever play for.
Mm-hmm.
If you go balls out, balls to the wind, and I give 1,000% effort, you will have all the spoils of the world. But if you come over here and you play mediocre, like how you did in Minnesota or any other Tom, Dick, and Harry team that you play for, you do that here, we're going to call your ass
out.
The
lights are brighter here. Minnesota doesn't have, Prince ain't alive anymore. Minnesota doesn't have anybody coming to those games, unless it's played in LA or played in Miami. When you play for a team like the Lakers, even more than the Clippers. Now that might change when the new Clipper facility opens, but as of right now, when it's the crypto and it's the Lakers is the show.
Yeah.
And you're going to have big time people, even bigger than the New York Knicks, going to these games, and so the spotlight is on this team, and they just don't have the players that have the testicular fortitude to sit over here and step up. Kurt Rambis wasn't great. He had the goofy Clark Kent glasses, but he had the testicular fortitude to sit over and fight. AC Green might have been a version well into his NBA career, but he had the testicular fortitude to sit over here and fight. Byron Scott might look like a basic goofy, but he had the testicular fortitude to sit over here and fight.
And that's all that I'm really noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm noticing that all the others, the also-rans, the guys that are on the team that aren't necessarily the superstars, are really playing with marginal effort.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not acceptable. I think the mistake that many players make is that they just think, okay, because this is La La Land, that that I don't have to have grit. But no, the whole secret sauce to us winning all of the championships is that we had guys that were blue collar that got Hollywood pleasure from their blue collarness, and these guys are over here expecting to just like live off of the spoils of the land. And they're not working.
Well, here's the reality.
They're not closing out. They're not fighting. They're not hitting that jumper. And you're putting too much pressure on Anthony Davis and LeBron James to basically have Herculean efforts. And that ain't going to cut it.
In LA, we might be Hollywood, but anybody that knows anything about LA is this is a concrete jungle. This is an aggressive natured city by nature. Even with the palm trees, it might look pretty, but there's an underbelly of aggressiveness and grit and realness that has to be a part of the flashiness.
We not going
Correct.
forward.
And so these are players that assume that they could come here, and also what happens is they had some early success with getting into the Western Conference Finals last year. And even though they got waxed by Denver, believing that they were a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunate that the GM didn't make the mistake to think about thinking that this team that he put together was good when it wasn't.
See, I already know you want to go to Pelinka because you don't think that Pelinka put a good team together. Right?
Are you telling me here that this is a team that could win the championship?
Well, right now, no.
Were they a team that could win the championship last year when they got destroyed by Denver?
I thought that they could have.
They couldn't beat Denver. They couldn't even compete with Denver, so they couldn't win a championship.
Well, listen.
That's where you're hoping and wishing for an injury.
Look, we got swept by Denver. Denver was the better team, but they were very competitive games. They weren't blowouts. So I would say
that's all right.
No, it's not all right. But what I would say is that they were a very formidable team. And the thing is I see that the same personnel is kind of almost like living off their laurels. It's almost like they're acting,
of a sweep. They're living off the laurels of a sweep.
But they're acting like that they actually won the ring.
Correct, because they overachieved. So think of it from the NFL. The New York Giants made the playoffs, got in the playoffs in the first round, played against another boo-boo overachieving team and happened to beat them and go into the second round, and they thought they were, just 2 games away from the Super Bowl. And we don't need to really change anything. We just need to bring the same team back and everybody will be better.
Yeah.
And then our rookies will sit over and fill in the deficiencies and we'll be even better. And they fell down
epically.
They literally have more than half the wins that they had before. And this is the exact same thing that the Lakers did.
That's why I called out all those people, and that's also why I called out Vanderbilt, especially because to me, the biggest disappointment, and that is a microcosm of every other player is last year, Vanderbilt was arguably our best defensive player. He was everywhere. He was Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He was everywhere. He was getting every loose ball. He was doing everything. And I have yet to see that guy in not even a single solitary game since he's been.
And that's why why you sell high, and that's why this does lay at the feet of an inexperienced general manager who was only claimed to fame as being Kobe's agent. Is because as that agent,
that hurts.
You have thought process on what it should be. But when you've never really competed in this arena at this level for a long period of time outside of, just before the bubble to now, you believe you hang on to those few wins that you get.
I am crying inside because I am about to agree with you.
Because I'm right, and it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. And as you should, because we both love the Lakers. We both grew up on the Lakers. We're both from Inglewood, so we are feeling the same pain. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. Unfortunate thing is they chose the Laker organization made a choice between an agent and a Hall of Fame player and a Hall of Fame businessman in Magic, and who was going to be the decision maker for this team. And when Jeannie,
see, now everybody getting judged now.
When Jeannie sat over here and made that choice, then this goes all the way to the top. The buck doesn't stop with Pelinka.
See what losing happens?
Yeah, the buck stops with Jeannie because she inevitably made a choice to go with an agent who literally his claim to fame as one-star player rather than Magic, who you got to remember, Magic was building this organization on her behalf when she still had braces in her mouth. When she was still a youngin', and she didn't even know, which side was
I'm not going to claim about what she did or didn't know, but what I will say is that
you thought she knew something in 1980?
I don't look. She was in the room in a lot of situations.
I'm confident to say she didn't know shit in 1980.
Well, look, Jeannie has a couple championships under her belt
in her
tenure. One.
Yeah, exactly.
She has one. Okay,
I
want to give her 5, but but needless to say, I genuinely like her as an owner, and I think that she's a great executive. However,
she's a great executive.
Absolutely, she's a great owner. The executive will be undermining
a great owner.
I think she's with the pageantry and the commitment that she does to, and the loyalty that she presents to players that are of ilk. I would, if I were an NBA player, I would want to play for Jeannie all day.
Do I want to go have drinks and dinner with Jeannie? Yeah, shit. Be high-fiving and getting fucked up and having fun.
Jeannie gives love and credit to greatness. The only thing that you may criticize is she hired Pelinka, and Pelinka is not delivering the product on the field, and they always need to understand that they are just stewards to the fan base. So the fan base is Los Angeles, and you need to feed that beast. You need to deliver W's to that fan base. And if you don't deliver W's to that fan base, then all of y'all are going to be scrutinized. And Jeannie's smart enough to know that. She's seen it. She knows it. She's seen it. So, but it's like, motherfuckers, get it together.
But nepotism is a mother, because remember, he was representing Kobe. So when he was at the games watching Kobe and she was there having her cocktails before she was really running the deal, they became friends. And so you choose to sit over and make your choices based off of who you think you can trust, who you think is your friend, and not who's the very best basketball mind. And the Laker organization deserves the best basketball mind to sit over and navigate this jungle that we're in, and to sit over and create winners here. Because
there's one stat that everybody should care about. I'm sorry to cut you off. There's one stat that everybody should care about in the NBA, but certainly the Lakers should live by this. It's not about honorable mentions of whether or not somebody gets 40 and 10. There's one stat.
Tell me.
Wins and losses.
Wins and losses. Wins and losses.
Did the Lakers win the game or did they lose the game? And one of the things that I think that Darvin Ham even might be losing sight of is that if you want to get on the wrong side of the constituents that you need to care about, is you keep losing these games, bro. You're going to be in danger because everybody's in danger.
Well, the problem is Pelinka, that's Pelinka's boy. He was asked about his job security, and he said, "Oh, I'm solid." Because Pelinka's told him, "You're my man. You got us to the Western Conference."
And you know why that is poppycock? Because everybody, and I said it, poppycock. Because everybody's job is in danger when the Lakers are losing. I don't care.
Hold on. Here's the problem. He's Pelinka's boy. He feels comfortable.
Everybody's job is in danger.
Hold on. Pelinka's Jenny's boy. He feels comfortable, and that's the problem. When those relationships right there needs to be a lack of a relationship so you can make hard decisions and make hard choices.
It's about right now.
But you can't do that when that's my buddy. That's the problem. This has become a buddy system.
I actually like a lot of the things that Darvin Ham preaches and teaches.
I know you
but what he does need to understand is stop doing all this cute stuff. This is about right now.
I don't think it's cute. I think he's trying to figure it out. I think he's
figure it out faster.
This is what the thing is. This is what we talked about earlier. You can only figure out with what you can actually figure out. And here's where the reality is. They don't have a team that can actually compete. They wanna believe that they can compete because they were there last year. But the reality is this is not a team. These are not players. These are players that had a great stint. You're talking about what? A couple months, 30, 60 days of great play that were sit over here and transformed into looking as if these are good players. Like with our man. What's the shooter?
What are you talking
for the Lakers? What's the shooter's name? Your buddy?
You talking about Reeves?
Reeves is not a good player.
No.
He's a slightly above mediocre. He can shoot, but he can't do the other things that they need to win. That's why he's coming off the bench.
You know, the interesting thing is everybody wants to point to Reeves because Reeves is the most talented other guy that's not named LeBron James or Anthony Davis. And that talent
isn't high enough.
So, but the thing that what I would also say to the Lakers is you might need to be willing to sacrifice Reeves an excellent player.
Get his non-athletic self up out of here.
Because here's the thing that, and this is almost, dare I say, almost like a black-white thing. You have to understand that there are brothers in this league that look at him and offensively
as a pork chop.
Offensively, what I love about Reeves is, you know what? he can get his game off, and he really does have a genuine understanding of playmaking. He can make plays. He can read offenses and make the exact right play, and he can shoot the buckets. But if he doesn't have a certain level of aggression to where he's going to be averaging somewhere around 20 to 25 points, guess what? On the other end, these other guys are looking at him like barbecue chicken. I'm about to make my career off of you.
Yes.
And he's not, let's say, a first-tier defensive player. Maybe he will grow to that. But maybe. No. I don't want to say that he won't, but he's not that right now.
He will never be that. He's a great 5th or 6th player. He should never, ever, 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 ever be the 3rd player on a team. There is no championship team. Think of the Celtics, who can literally be a...
You mean Celtics in terms of right now or traditionally?
This right now.
Okay.
They have their big 3. Doesn't include an individual like Austin Reeves.
But you know what? I don't want this to be categorized as Austin Reeves is the problem. The problem is that D'Angelo Russell is not
no.
The guy.
The problem is Austin Reeves. I don't want Austin Reeves to be off the team. I actually think he is a great compliment to the team.
Yeah, he's an icing guy.
The number 3 spot, no,
he's an icing
the number
guy.
5 or 6 spot, church on the move.
Yeah,
in the number 3, we can't win. So until Pelinka figures out how he can bring the necessary talent to fill in spot 3, spot 4, and possibly spot 5, this team will never be able to play at the level that you and I want them to. Right. And we need to stop going into this circle or ring around the blaming chair on who we're going to blame, whether it's Darvin Ham, whether it's Pelinka, whether it's Jenny Buss, whether it's Austin Reeves. Get some talent up in here. And guess what, Pelinka? You're supposed to be a deal maker. Well, guess what happens? The NBA doesn't like you. And that's what's been so challenging with him making teams. Is because he's not a likable individual and has been recognized as a catastrophic, unrelenting liar.
Yes, and that was part of what you're saying about his reputation as an agent, and that might be bearing bad fruit right now.
Spoiler.
And that might be impacting their ability to make quality trades. But because the trade deadline has not come and gone, I don't want to say that with certainty. But I understand where you're coming from. At the end of the day, look, you're right. They need to do something, and Pelinka should feel all the pressure of the universe on him right now. Reeves is not the problem, but he's
not the solution. That's the problem. He's not the solution.
It may even be that he needs to be sacrificed to bring a level of real threat.
If you don't do it now, here's what's scary. If you don't do it now, when people still kind of get excited to make those excuses,
we don't have no assets otherwise. You're right.
You know, instead of sitting over here and sacrificing him now, when people still feel good about him, you need to sit over here and do that and trade him now. Because if you wait till the end of the year and everybody wakes up and say, "Oh, you know what? He's a stone cold mystery."
But I don't think Austin Reeves will ever be a stone cold mystery. I just think Austin Reeves is what he is. But
value that where he's at now is what I mean. He's not a stone cold mystery, but value that a number 3 piece on the team.
He's just a good player.
He's just a solid player.
He's not a world beating difference maker.
Absolutely not.
But I will say this too, because I really do like, and I think that he has championship character within him. If he or his family ever hears us in all of our dribble, you know, maybe he should take this personally, and maybe he will get enough cojones to say, well, damn it, let me go average 30 for a month. But I don't think he's going to do that. But
that's not in his repertoire.
But it's within his capability to do it.
No.
So you don't think so? I think so. No. I actually think it's within his capability.
Because you still are drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid. You still sipping on it, but no.
I like me some Austin. I just think the bottom line is we don't have enough, and that's what we both agree on. Mm-hmm. The person that I really want to dig in on, or I should say 2 players, is Vanderbilt and Taurean Prince.
But who cares about those 2 cats? Get them up out of here, put them on a trade. You know what I want to talk? I want to talk about somebody good, because you want to talk about Vanderbilt and most of our audience don't even know who those individuals are. So I don't want to talk about.
Everybody watch the Lakers. Everybody knows who the hell I'm talking about.
You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about Big Wemby.
Oh my!
Because you know what? We talked a lot about Big Wemby at the beginning of the season. You know, because the team is so brutal, it's challenging to talk about. But I want to do a Wemby review.
Okay.
You know, we're about 35%, 38, 39% into the season. What is your Wemby review after we've been able to watch him sit over here and get acclimated?
To me, his coming out party game in a loss was against Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why that I say coming out in terms of like b-ball from not like public opinion, because people have already dubbed him as a phenom and a unicorn from before he even played his first game. But
has he lived up to that?
No, but what I love, no, he has not. Here's what I'm going to say that is going to be very glowing. Okay, rainbows and gumdrops. Okay, look, the way that he performed against Giannis, and what I really loved about it is he took Giannis. It was very. I even heard in the TNT after, because I think it was. I felt the exact same way. Charles Barkley articulated this. And a couple other guys on the panel. I think maybe Shaq said this too. But, you know, when we were coming up and we were watching the NBA, when you saw a game and it was, Bird versus Jordan, or let's say Mikal versus Barkley, like they went against each other, and it was like, I'm about to beat you and I'm about to guard you. And this is going to be a mano.
2 Euros are banging.
Yeah, it's going to be a mano-y-mano, and I'm going to look you in your face.
And they were doing that.
Yeah, Shaq against David Robinson.
But that was a European beef.
That
was a Euro beef.
Yeah. But what I just mean, traditionally, when you had a star against a star, they were like, no. I got him today.
But what I'm saying is that European, they still on that old school game. These U.S. players want to exchange jerseys at the end and sit on
all this kindness.
Yeah, but what we saw, what I'm saying is what we saw from that is that European kind of old school. Remember, they're dragging behind us.
Yeah,
and so that was that old school kind of like 90s, early 90s, late 80s, like. We're going to bang this out to see who's the best Euro.
So what I saw from Wemby was Wemby said, I got Giannis.
I loved it.
And damn that, you not about to embarrass me in my house. Now, granted, they still lost the game. But it was a hell of a game.
Yes.
And he did the around the back.
Oh, that was big. It was almost hard to see him dunking because he's just so tall.
First of all, he only has to drop 2 inches off the ground to dunk. But it doesn't matter. It was like he put a complete display of his skill set on that court in that game, and it was just like when you start thinking about the future of the Spurs, I'm like, you guys have somebody who's going to literally take over the entire league in about 3 or 4 years. If you give him, let's say, 2, whether or not they're on your team or not, 2 really consistent guys who can give anywhere between 15 to 20 points a game and that can play defense, they are going to be
the only thing I would focus on is I would sit over here if I was a GM. I would sit over and take Wemby completely out of the equation. And I have to build a championship team within 2 years, and Wemby's not on my team.
He's not on your team.
In terms of my thought process, how I'm building the team.
Yeah, you have to build a team
outside of Wemby.
Yeah.
And I have to build a championship team.
That is a great mentality.
And then you sit over here and say, I got to do that or I'm out.
Yeah.
Or I fire me. That's what I was going to tell my boss.
Yeah.
I'll fire me. Yeah. But I'm going to build a championship team, and Wemby don't got nothing to do with it. Now, that's how you build a dynasty.
A dynasty. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Popovich could do that.
But here's a twist. It's so funny. You remember when they had David Robinson and then they drafted Tim Duncan?
Oh man, it was like
I see because you see how boo boo they are this year.
Yeah.
I see a semblance. Now they're not going to get the number 1 pick because Detroit obviously going to get the number 1 pick. They're going to get the number 2 pick, but they're going to still have an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And if they were smart, get the very best point guard. Mm-hmm. And the entire draft. If you have to, trade your draft pick and go back, find your very best point guard, draft that point guard, put him with Wemby, and then start accumulating, start building around that. And then you have those 2 anchors. Write it down, take a picture, because that's what that team is really missing, is a true unbelievable point guard. So get the best point guard in the draft.
So, and the only thing that I would say, so my GM style or my mentality would be this: because Wemby can shoot threes, and this is the only reason why I would say that, because he can shoot threes at a relatively consistent clip, and he's young, so he could get better by percentage. Mm-hmm. I would literally just say, let me pick the absolute best talented player, any other player who's just absolutely absurdly, ridiculously talented. It doesn't have to be a guard. It could be a point guard, but I'm not concerned about it.
I like that thought process, but it's one pick.
I'll fill in.
But it's one pick. If you trade back from that 2 and then get the best point guard, maybe trade him back to a 4 or 5 or 6. 4, 5, and get the best point guard, and then pick up an extra pick to where you can get the second best player at that position, at any position, to couple with that. So now you have the best point guard, you got Wemby, and then you have the second best player at whatever position to couple along with that small forward or shooting guard. One of those 3.
Right.
Now you got action.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it's about because ultimately what we're really talking about when for the layman, we're talking about you have dual threat. Mm-hmm. So now what you're saying is Wemby is about to destroy most centers in the league. So then if I, at any other position, if I had somebody who is absolutely going to wreak havoc, so that you as an opposing team have to account for now 2 of these guys. This is what Shaq and Kobe were.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was like, okay, if you try to double down on Shaq, guess what? Kobe will destroy you, and if Kobe doesn't destroy you, there goes Rick Fox. There goes Robert Horry. There goes Harper. Mm-hmm. And now you don't have an answer because we can defend you on the other end. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with Wemby. If Wemby ends up being like
Wemby is that guy. The only thing that we're waiting on is him just to get his grown-up body.
Yeah.
This man's still 19.
Right.
He's still a kid. Yeah. 19.
You know what?
But our dog a grown man. You understand what I'm saying? When he gets his grown man body, when he gets to 21, 22, and he's grown man but young, my God, man. Stop.
Yeah. When he wants the booty bump, and he's like, okay, I'm going to take this. And
have a nice day.
Yeah.
He's giving out bars.
Yeah.
And everybody better get up out the way.
You're right. I feel you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about him. I love to see Wemby. Chet's doing this deal, but Chet is 21. Wemby's 19. But you're a grown man. And Wemby's still light in the booty. I'll still punk him in the post.
Chet has better numbers, but Chet has a better team.
Chet has a better team. And them numbers, it's not like this. The numbers are like this.
Yeah.
And so, again, the question is where will Wemby be at 21? Where would Wemby be at 21 with that team.
Yeah.
Chet wouldn't even be in the same conversation. Boy. So, you know, at the end of the day, I just wanted to put a spotlight. We ain't talked about our boy Wemby. He's been knocking it out the park. You know, there's not a lot to be said because there's still so much ahead of us. And, you know, we've only, a couple months into the game.
You got me to drink 1 3/4.
So. Yeah, you've been over here babysitting.
Have I?
Hey, yes, you've been babysitting.
Well, then let me catch up.
But with that being said, hey, it was fun. We talked a lot of good NBA. You know, this is a long season, so I love how we sit over and dig in there and find.
I do too.
The real deal
and give the audience a real analysis because you know most of these guys they just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna watch the ESPN highlights. And it's like, no, man, it's more than that, bro.
I know, because if you don't watch Skip Bayless,
shut up. Shut your mouth. And don't be hating on Skip, okay? Skip every now and again, he be bringing some knowledge.
If I can't Skip out there, hey, we want to jump in. I appreciate you. I am a hater. I'm a hater, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that being said, we appreciate you.
Yes, indeed.
We will see you next week on Saturday.
Yes, indeed.
Baby. Talking about that NBA at the bar.
Hey, Lakers. Cold 10, okay?
It is a cold 10.
Cold 10.
Hey, you know what else is a cold 10? I need y'all to like, subscribe, and download.
Yes, what he said.
Touch on the moon. See you soon. Thank you.